Okay, so let's jump right in. Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
We are diving straight into this really fascinating stack of sources you sent over, and they take us, well, they take us far away from the usual tourist trail in southern Thailand.
Yeah, far away.
We're landing on the shores of Koh Chang. It's magnificent, it's mountainous, and I think, as we'll find out, it's often wonderfully misunderstood.
It really is. And I think this is such an important deep dive to do because Koh Chang, which people call Elephant Island, it holds this really unique spot in the pecking order of Thai islands.
How so?
Well, when most people think Thai island escape, their brain immediately goes to the big names,
Phuket, Koh Samui.
Phuket, Samui, maybe Koh Phi Phi with those famous limestone cliffs. And what do they all have in common?
International airports.
What?
Easy access.
Exactly. They have the airports, the five-star resorts, the heavily manicured, slick infrastructure.
And what's so interesting is how the source material sets up Koh Chang as the complete opposite of that. It's positioned as the deliberate alternative.
It is. It's the rugged, less polished cousin in the family.
Right. But it has the same core DNA. It offers that same stunning tropical beauty, the lush jungles, the beautiful beaches. But it almost feels like it's put up a barrier.
A logistics filter. That's a great way to put it. It has this built-in filter that automatically weeds out the casual, low-effort visitor. It forces you to commit.
And that word commitment, I think that's the key. It
Yeah.
seems to define this entire deep dive, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The sources we have, they just meticulously break down every single part of this place. We're talking about the challenging journey just to get there, the very distinct personalities of its four main beach areas.
The food, which sounds unbelievable.
Oh, the food is a whole chapter in itself, and the essential activities. So the central mission for us, and this comes straight from your material, is to figure this out for the modern traveler, budget to mid-range.
The person who wants an adventure but still wants a decent bed.
Exactly. So for them, given that Koh Chang is so isolated, so demanding to get to, and it just lacks that slick, high-speed feel of its competitors, is it actually worth all that effort?
That is the perfect mission statement. So, okay, we have our roadmap. We're going to detail the journey, that commitment. We're talking hours, logistics, the whole thing.
Then we'll decode the four main beach vibes, which is critical. Where you stay really shapes your trip.
After that, we explore the island's wild side, the jungle, the sea, and of course, that world-class food.
And finally, we deliver the verdict. We're going to answer that question. Does this Emerald Escape deserve a spot on your itinerary?
All right, let the adventure begin. Let's start with the hard part, the journey.
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Okay, phase one, committing to the journey. You called it a travel filter, and I think that's the perfect term. This is the first and maybe the biggest thing that sets Koh Chang apart. You have to earn your spot on the beach.
You absolutely do. And the first fact, the most crucial piece of information, is the one we already touched on. Unlike Phuket or Samui, there is no commercial airport on Koh Chang.
So that's it. That one fact changes everything.
It dictates the entire experience. You can't just fly in, grab a cab, and be poolside with a drink in 90 minutes. It's just not that kind of place.
Instead, you have to face what the sources call the Bangkok to Trat corridor, a 5 to 6 hour haul on the road just to get from the capital to the coast.
Yeah, just the land portion. So for a traveler trying to figure this out, what are the actual logistics? Where do you even start?
The main hub, according to the material, is the Ekamai bus terminal in Bangkok, which is pretty convenient. It's right on the BTS SkyTrain line.
Right. But as soon as you get there, you're faced with your first big decision. And it's an important one. Do you take the big bus or do you take the minivan?
Okay, walk me through this because the sources painted a really vivid picture here. It sounds like a choice between, speed and sanity.
That's a good way to put it. If you value your personal space, if you want comfort, and frankly, a feeling of safety, the big government bus is your best bet, especially the VIP aircon ones.
And those are easy to book.
Super easy. You just go to the ticket counters on the first floor of the terminal. The price is, around 450 to 550 baht for the VIP service, so about 12 to 15 US dollars.
For a 6 hour trip, that's really not bad.
It's great value. And for that, you get a dedicated seat with actual legroom. They usually give you a little snack box and a bottle of water. And crucially, the driving is, it's sane. They stick to a slower, steadier pace. They stop once or twice at a proper rest stop. It's a relaxed 6 hour journey.
Okay, so that's option A, the sensible choice.
Yep.
Then there's option B, the minivan. which promises to be faster but seems to deliver a very different kind of thrill.
A thrill is one word for it. Look, the minivan is faster. It can sometimes shave a whole hour off the trip, which is tempting.
But the experience...
The experience, as one source put it, is like the driver is auditioning for a Fast and Furious movie.
Fast. That's not a good sign.
No. And it's not just about the speed. It's about the whole package. They often cram people in. They'll strap enormous amounts of luggage to the roof with like a single bungee cord. And the driving style is just... It's aggressive. It can be really unsettling to be in that environment for 4 or 5 hours straight.
So for you, our listener who's looking for that comprehensive knowledge, the takeaway is pretty clear. The minivan is a high-risk, high-reward situation.
Right.
It's faster, yeah, but it's less comfortable. And the sources are very clear that the safety standards, the insurance, it's all a bit more questionable than the official bus lines.
Exactly. I mean, if you're traveling with a big suitcase or you have your family with you, saving that 1 hour is just stuffed. It's not worth the trade-off in comfort and peace of mind.
So either way, 5 or 6 hours. That journey time alone proves the point. This destination demands a huge chunk of your day. It filters out anyone looking for a quick weekend hop.
It immediately separates the casual tourist from the determined adventurer.
Okay, so we survive the road, we make it to Trat. Now comes the second part of the journey, the nautical transition. And this part, at least, sounds like a bit of a reward for our patience.
It's the scenic payoff,
Yeah.
absolutely. You get to one of the piers on the coast, usually Al Thamachat is the main one, and you board a ferry. And these aren't little long-tail boats. These are big, stable car ferries.
Right, they're built to handle trucks and buses and hundreds of people.
So they're very steady. The ride itself is pretty quick, maybe 30 to 45 minutes. But the sources all emphasize the visual experience of this part of the trip. This is when the island really starts to reveal itself.
This is the moment you realize what you've been traveling for.
Yes, that's the moment of realization. You see this huge, dark green, mountainous silhouette of Chang just getting closer and closer on the horizon, and you get this profound sense of scale.
It's not just a little sandbar.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You realize this isn't some tiny, flat little island. This is a massive landmass with a properly wild, undeveloped interior. It feels like you're approaching a real jungle outpost.
That sense of arrival is so key to the story. But, as the sources gleefully point out, even when you step off that ferry, you're not done. The final and maybe most memorable part of the journey is still ahead.
This is where you meet the Songthos.
The iconic white pickup trucks.
With the 2 benches in the back. They are the island's de facto taxi service, and they are just lined up, bumper to bumper, waiting at the pier as soon as you get off.
The system is simple, right? You just tell the driver which booth you're going to, haggle a price a little bit, and you're off.
Pretty much. But getting from that pier on the north end of the island down to the main tourist beaches on the west coast, that involves a road that one source so perfectly described as a roller coaster designed by a sadist.
I love that description because it feels so true.
Yeah.
This is not some smooth 4-lane coastal highway.
No, not even close. The road is. It's defined by constant, sharp, winding turns and these unbelievably steep hills. I mean, hills you would never see on the mainland. We're talking inclines that feel like they're at a 45-degree angle. The engine is just grinding in first gear to get up them.
I remember reading that detail about just having to hold on for dear life, gripping the metal rails in the back of the truck.
You really do. And that wild, kind of untamed infrastructure is so integral to the Chang experience. It's part of its character. It's what keeps it feeling a little bit less developed. It means that even going a few kilometers between beaches isn't just a quick taxi ride. It's another mini adventure in itself.
And that geographical challenge serves a real purpose, doesn't it?
Right.
It limits the big tour buses, it makes large-scale construction more difficult, and it reinforces that the whole journey, which by the time you're done has taken 7 or 8 hours of your day, it really demanded something from you.
It did. It successfully weeds out anyone just looking for ultimate convenience. And it rewards the person who is willing to work for it.
Okay, so we've made the commitment, we survived the journey, and we are finally on the island. Which brings us to phase 2, choosing your vibe. And this is so important because, as the sources make clear, where you stay on this island is going to completely define your trip.
It's a huge island, and the personality of each little zone is surprisingly different, especially considering how tough the roads are that connect them. So we really need to break down the 4 main areas, starting up north, closest to where the ferry drops you off.
Okay, so first up, the most accessible spot, White Sand Beach or Hat Sai Khao. The sources called this Chang on easy mode.
That is the perfect way to describe it. It's the most commercial, the most developed part of the island. This is where you'll find the biggest resorts, all the essential services like banks and proper pharmacies, and of course, a 7-Eleven on every corner.
So if you're a family with young kids, or maybe it's your first time in Thailand and you're a bit nervous, this is the logical place to start.
It is. If you want convenience, if you want familiar amenities, and you don't want a long Somtoy ride after that long journey, White Sand Beach is your landing spot.
But there's a trade-off, isn't there? The sources were pretty clear on this. While the beach itself is lovely and wide, it can feel crowded. And a lot of travelers said it lacks the soul of the island.
I think that's fair. The soul is maybe a bit diminished because the development here is geared towards package deals. The accommodation is all over the place. From a simple 800 baht bungalow to big resort rooms that are 3, 4, 5,000 baht a night.
It's serving the mass market.
It is. So if you're picturing yourself in a quiet little independent beach shack, you're probably not going to find it here. The traffic is also the heaviest on the island in this section, which adds to that feeling of commercial density.
Okay, so White Sand is the busy, convenient hub. If that's not what we're looking for, where do we find the island's sweet spot? The place...
For that, you have to head a little further south down the coast to the next two areas, Klong Prao and Kai Bay. These are consistently presented in the source material as the perfect middle ground.
How does the feeling change when you leave White Sand and head south?
It's almost immediate. The whole pace just slows down. It gets much more chilled out. The resorts in Klong Prao are often beautiful, mid-range places, and importantly, a lot of them are right on the beach. You can walk straight from your room onto the sand without having to cross a road.
That's a huge plus.
It is. Klong Prao is known for having this really long, quiet, sweeping beach. It's fantastic for couples or anyone just looking for genuine peace and quiet.
Now, what about Kai Bay? The sources seem to really single that one out.
Yeah, Kai Bay is arguably the most popular choice for the kind of traveler we're talking about. It has a bit more life than Klong Prao, but it's still very relaxed. Its main advantage is that it has a genuinely walkable main street.
Which is a rare thing on this island.
Very rare. And that street is lined with fantastic mid-range restaurants, great Thai food, but also good quality international options and cool, laid-back little bars and massage shops.
That sounds like the grown-up choice. You get the relaxation and the beauty, but you can also just step out your door and go for a great meal or a drink without needing to jump into Song Soo every single time.
That's it, exactly. And the accommodation in Kai Bay is in that sweet spot, maybe $40 to $80 for a really nice bungalow. It's also where you can easily get to the Kai Bay viewpoint for those classic postcard photos of the coast. It strikes the perfect balance. It's developed enough to be comfortable, but it still feels like a relaxed tropical island.
Okay, I think I've got my spot picked out already.
Yeah.
But let's keep going. We head further south over another one of those terrifying hills, and we land in Lonely Beach. And the name, as the sources point out, is just a fantastic piece of irony.
It is a complete relic from the past. The sources are so clear on this. Today, Lonely Beach is absolutely anything but lonely.
So what is it now? What defines the Lonely Beach experience in the 21st century?
It is the island's undisputed concentrated party hub. The entire area is just this dense cluster of cheap hostels, budget bungalows, we're talking under 500, bar-to-night tattoo parlors, and most importantly, bars that blast music deep into the night.
So this is where you go for the bucket.
This is where you go for the bucket of cheap Thai whiskey and soda. It is built for the 22-year-old backpacker on a shoestring budget.
And the sources had a specific warning here, didn't they? That travelers over 30 might feel ancient.
That's a very fair warning. It's an immersion into a very specific youth-driven party culture. And here's a really important detail. The actual beach at Lonely Beach isn't great. It's quite small and rocky. The real appeal is the scene, the dense, social, loud scene that's packed in behind the beach.
So if your goal is a pristine stretch of sand and a quiet night's sleep, this is the place to avoid at all costs.
You must skip it entirely. It's a very specific vibe for a very specific traveler.
But this raises a question, though. If Lonely Beach is now this kind of relentless party zone, doesn't that sort of undermine the island's whole identity as the unpolished alternative? Isn't this just swapping one kind of mass tourism for another?
That's a really sharp point, and I think the difference is one of scale and containment. While Lonely Beach is dense and loud, it's still geographically contained in one small pocket of the island. It hasn't sprawled out and consumed the whole coast in the way that, say, Patong has in Phuket.
So it's a dedicated zone.
It's a dedicated zone.
Okay.
But you're right, it absolutely represents the challenge that any developing island faces. How do you manage these pockets of high-volume, youth-focused tourism that are built on being cheap and loud without letting it spoil the quiet, sustainable character of the rest of the place?
A tough balancing act.
Yep.
Okay, finally, let's take that last long car ride all the way to the southern tip to Bang Bao. This place sounds completely different structurally and functionally.
It's entirely unique. Bang Bao is not a beach destination in the traditional sense at all. It's a working fishing village that is literally built out on a long concrete pier that extends way out over the water.
So you're not staying in a bungalow on the sand. You're in a guest house built on stilts right over the sea.
Exactly. Which is a really cool experience. You can hear the water lapping right under your floorboards. You get these incredible unobstructed views out towards the marine park. It feels very nautical.
And it has a specific purpose.
Right.
It's not just a place to stay.
Right. Its main function now is as the primary departure point for all of the island's major diving and snorkeling trips. Almost all the big tour boats leave from this pier.
I imagine that gives it a different energy from the other more leisure-focused beaches.
It does. It feels more functional. It's busy in the morning with boats getting ready, and it can be much quieter in the evenings than Kai Bay. It also feels the most remote. A song-tall ride from Bang Bao back up to the middle of the island is a long haul, especially late at night.
So it's perfect if your main goal is diving or snorkeling, and you want that unique stay, but maybe not if you want to be able to easily explore other parts of the island every day.
Precisely. Your base camp choice is everything.
That is so clear. Okay, to recap phase 2. White sand for maximum convenience and families. Klong Prao and Kai Bay for that perfect grown-up balance of relaxation and amenities. Lonely Beach if you are 22 and want to party. And Bang Bao for a unique, over-water stay focused on boat trips.
And now that we've picked our base, it's time for phase 3. Flavor, forest, and sea. Because once you've settled in, you have to eat. And the food on Koh Chang is a main character in this story.
The sources are, and I'm not exaggerating, almost evangelical about the food here. Particularly the seafood. They basically crown Koh Chang as seafood central.
And it's a well-deserved crown. The quality, the freshness, and the accessibility of the seafood is, I think, a huge reason to make the journey. The #1 mandatory experience is the evening seafood barbecue.
You see these everywhere, right? These huge displays set up on the street, especially in Kai Bay or down at the Bang Bao Pier.
They're spectacular. At dusk, they wheel out these huge displays packed with ice, and they're just loaded with the day's catch. You'll see a whole barracuda, massive tiger prawns the size of your hand, squid, blue crab, trays of mussels. It's a feast for the eyes before you even order.
And the best part is the process. It's not just pointing at a menu item.
No, it's interactive. It's transparent. You walk right up to the display, and you physically point at the exact fish or the specific prawns you want to eat.
So you choose your victim, and then, and this is so key to Thai cooking, you choose how you want it cooked. What were the best methods the sources recommended?
The classics are the best. For a whole fish, like a snapper or a barracuda, getting it steamed with a ton of lime, chili, and garlic, what they call plan non manao, is just out of this world.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Or if you have those big, beautiful prawns or some squid, you can just get it grilled simply with salt to let the freshness shine through. Or, of course, you can have them toss it all into a rich, fragrant red curry. The sources were unanimous on this. Seafood is phenomenal. It's world-class.
Okay, but world-class usually comes with a world-class price tag. Is this experience accessible for a budget to mid-range traveler?
This is where Koh Chang just destroys the competition. It is incredibly affordable. You can often get a whole grilled fish big enough to feed 2 people for somewhere between $350 and $500 baht.
Which is what, 10 to 14 US dollars?
Yeah. Now, try to get that same quality whole snapper on a popular beach in Phuket. You could easily be paying $1,200, $1,500 baht. The value proposition on Koh Chang is just staggering.
And this isn't limited to just the big barbecue spots, right? What about the general street food scene?
Oh, the street food imperative is non-negotiable. It is everywhere, it's cheap, and the quality is ridiculously high. The key is to look for the little stalls that specialize in just 1 or 2 things.
The sources gave some really specific examples. Let's start with some tam.
Yes, the spicy green papaya salad. And the sources stress you have to find a stall where you can see them pounding the ingredients fresh for you, right there in a big clay mortar and pestle.
There's a great little anecdote about one near Klong Prao.
There was. The writer described it as a salad that genuinely made you sweat. And that's the sign of a good one. It's that perfect, explosive balance of spicy, sour, salty, and sweet that just defines great Thai food. You eat that with a little bag of sticky rice, khao nao, and it's a perfect $2 meal.
And moving away from the chili heat, there are the smoky grilled classics.
For sure. You have to look for gai yang, that's marinated grilled chicken. You'll see it cooking slowly over charcoal on the side of the road, which gives it this incredible smoky flavor you can't get any other way.
And of course, the theater of a good pad thai.
Oh, yeah. Watching them cook it in a flaming hot wok right on the street, that high heat gives it that crucial okay, the smoky breath of the wok, and you can get a massive, delicious plate of it for 50 or 60 baht.
So the message is clear. Amazing flavor doesn't have to cost a lot here. And there was a really good pro tip in the sources for how to spot a good place to eat.
Right. It's a simple rule. If you walk up to a restaurant and the menu is like 10 laminated pages long, and it has pizza and pasta and burgers and sandwiches right next to the Thai food, just walk away.
The jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly. They're trying to please everyone, and they end up making nothing well. You want to find the spot with the short menu, maybe only a few plastic chairs. That's usually the sign that they do one thing, and they do it exceptionally well.
Okay, my mouth is watering. Let's move from flavor to forest. A huge part of Koh Chang identity is that 70% of the island is protected national park. This isn't just a ring of beaches, it has a wild jungle heart.
And that protection is the only reason the island hasn't been completely covered in concrete. It preserves that wild core and provides all these amazing things to do away from the water.
The first and probably the most popular jungle activity is chasing waterfalls, and the most famous one is Klong Plu Waterfall.
Yeah, Klong Plu is near Klong Prau, so it's really easy to get to from the main West Coast beaches. You have to pay an entrance fee, about 200 baht, because it's inside the national park.
And then it's a bit of a hike.
It's a short, pretty easy walk on a well-marked path through the jungle. And at the end, you're rewarded with this big, beautiful, deep swimming hole at the base of the waterfall.
A natural swimming pool sounds like the perfect way to cool off. But the sources had a pretty big warning attached to it.
A very important caveat, its popularity. Because it's the easiest one to get to, Klong Plu gets incredibly busy, especially from mid-morning onwards. So the essential advice is you have to go early.
Like right when it opens.
Be there when the park opens. That way you can enjoy it in relative peace and quiet before the tour groups and the songthos full of people start to arrive.
And for someone who really wants to get off the beaten path, was there a quieter alternative mentioned?
There was. The sources pointed to Van Mayum Waterfall, which is over on the much less developed east coast of the island. It takes more effort to get there, a longer Song Thoi ride for sure, but your reward is a much greater chance of having the place all to yourself.
So you're trading convenience for solitude.
A classic Koh Chang trade-off.
And besides hiking to waterfalls, the other great way to experience the island's nature is by kayaking.
Yeah, kayaking is super accessible and really peaceful. The best place to do it, according to the sources, is from Klong Prau Beach. You can rent a kayak for cheap, maybe 150, 200 baht an hour.
And you're not just paddling in the ocean.
No, and that's the cool part. You can paddle up the river estuary, the Klong, and go deep into these dense mangrove forests.
What's that experience like?
It's all about the soundscape. As soon as you get into the mangroves, the sound of the road and the beach just disappears. It's replaced by this total silence, just the rustling of the leaves and the sounds of birds and insects. It's a really cool close-up look at a different side of the island's ecology.
Now, let's head out to sea. Because as beautiful as the island is, the real underwater jewel is actually a little bit south, in the Koh Rang National Marine Park.
You have to get out on a boat. It's a mandatory part of any trip to Koh Chang, and the day trips to Koh Rang are the absolute highlight of the marine park.
How do those trips usually work?
The logistics are really well oiled. Most boats leave from the Bangbo Pier in the morning around 9 o'clock. You can choose between a bigger, slower, more stable wooden boat or a faster, bumpier speedboat.
And what's the value like? Is it an expensive day out?
It's incredible value. A full-day trip, which usually runs until about 4 in the afternoon, will cost you somewhere between 800 and 1,200 baht, so $20-35 US. And that price almost always includes your transport from your hotel, the boat trip itself, and all your snorkel gear.
And it's about a 45-minute ride out to the marine park.
About that. And the reward for that boat ride is the water. The clarity is just exceptional. One source beautifully described it as swimming in an aquarium.
And you see a lot of life.
A ton? Assuming you find a healthy patch of coral, you'll see these brilliant blue and green parrotfish, angelfish, massive schools of shimmering little silverfish. It really is a fantastic snorkeling experience.
I read that lunch is usually included on the boat. Is it just, a sad sandwich?
No, never. It's another example of the island's high food standards. It's usually a simple but delicious full-on Thai lunch served right there on the boat. A big thing of rice, a couple different curries, some fresh fruit. It's always really good.
Just quickly for the divers out there, it's a good spot, too.
A fantastic spot. Specifically for the HTMS Chang shipwreck, it's a massive former U.S. Navy landing ship that was sunk on purpose to create an artificial reef, and it's one of the best wreck dives in Thailand.
Okay, before we wrap up the activities, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
On an island nicknamed Elephant Island, there's a huge, critical, ethical consideration around animal tourism.
This is a really firm, non-negotiable point for any responsible traveler, and the sources were very emphatic about this. Because of the name, the temptation to visit an elephant camp is high, but you have to be so careful.
The sources were clear. Do not endorse or recommend any camps that offers elephant riding. Why is that line so firm?
Because the practice of elephant riding and the training that leads up to it is based on a process that is fundamentally harmful and cruel to the animals. It involves breaking their spirit when they are young and using physical coercion, like bullhooks, to control them throughout their lives. It's widely recognized as an unethical practice, and spending your money on it just fuels the cycle.
So for the listener who loves elephants and wants to see them respectfully, how do they tell the difference between a real sanctuary and a tourist trap? We need to be practical here.
Absolutely, because the word sanctuary is often just used for marketing. So the first step is to do your research. Look for a place that has accreditation from a recognized international animal welfare organization.
And read the reviews.
Read the most recent reviews and read them critically. Look for any mention of riding, hooks, chains, or elephants performing tricks. If you see photos of elephants painting pictures or playing football, that is a massive red flag. That is a tourist trap, not a sanctuary.
So what does a good ethical interaction look like?
A real sanctuary is all about rescue and rehabilitation. The goal is to give the elephants a life that's as natural as possible. Any interaction should be on the elephants' terms, not yours. You might observe them from a distance, maybe help prepare their food, or take part in a supervised mud bath where the interaction is gentle and the elephants are choosing to participate.
The key takeaway is, if the animals are being asked to do anything for your entertainment, it's the wrong place.
Exactly. And if you have any doubt at all, just skip it. Your tourist dollars are powerful, and they should only support ethical treatment.
That's a really clear and important guide. Okay, let's move into our final phase, Phase 4, navigating the rough edges and the verdict. We know Koh Chang is rewarding, but what should a traveler actively avoid? What are the real downsides of this unpolished charm?
Right. Let's start with the essential skips. And the biggest, most serious warning is about transportation. Skip number 1. Do not rent a scooter if you are an inexperienced rider.
This goes right back to that roller coaster designed by a sadist.
It does. The sources are so adamant about this. The hills are dangerously steep, the corners are sharp, the road surface can be sketchy, and it often gets wet and slippery. Tourists have serious accidents here all the time.
And I get the temptation. A scooter is cheap, maybe 250 baht a day, and it offers freedom.
But the risk is just not worth it. The alternative, the songthos, are cheap and everywhere. A ride between two main beaches might cost you 100 baht, a couple of bucks. Why risk a massive injury and a huge medical bill for that tiny bit of convenience? Just leave the driving to the local experts who know those hills inside and out.
A very strong piece of advice. What's skip number 2?
Skip number 2 is the resort bubble. This island is big, it's over 30 kilometers from top to bottom, and it's way too easy to just get stuck on your one beach, especially if you're staying at one of the big resorts on white sand.
You risk missing the whole point of being there.
You do. You went through that whole epic journey to get to this diverse, interesting place. Don't let your entire vacation be confined to a single kilometer of sand. Pay the 100 baht for the songthaw. Go explore the quiet waterfalls, check out the fishing village vibe in Bang Bao. Try the seafood on a different beach.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And skip number 3 is a smaller one, but a good one. The generic fire shows. They're at every beach bar in Thailand, and the sources say they're often just loud and obnoxious, and they kind of break the peaceful atmosphere.
Find a quieter bar. There are so many. Find a little spot on the sand where you can just have a beer and listen to the sound of the waves in the jungle. That is a much more authentic and rewarding experience.
And finally, a strong repeat. Skip number 4 is to avoid unethical elephant camps.
It's a responsibility we have as travelers. It has to be the foundation of any visit.
So this brings us to the big idea, the aha moment. We have to define this unpolished vibe. Why is the island's ruggedness actually its greatest strength?
The sources are really honest about this. Koh Chang is not perfect. The infrastructure is, as they say, a bit creaky. The roads have potholes. The power might go out for an hour. Your Wi-Fi might be a bit slow in some places. That is the reality of being outside a perfectly manicured resort bubble like Samui.
But that creakiness, that ruggedness, is exactly what's preserving the island's character.
It is. It means the island has found this amazing balance. You can still get a great cup of coffee, you can have a world-class meal, you can find a comfortable bed and good Wi-Fi. It has enough comfort, but it hasn't lost its wild jungle heart.
It feels more like a real place.
A much more real place. You see more local life, you see fewer international chains, you feel more of a community. And the trade-off is the essence of why you go to Koh Chang. It is for the traveler who is willing to sacrifice maybe 20% of their convenience.
In exchange for 50% fewer people.
And a way more adventurous, authentic, and natural experience, you get 90% of the raw beauty of the more famous islands, but without the crowds and the crazy high prices.
It's the adventurer's reward. The effort is the price of admission, and the reward is that authenticity.
Perfectly said.
All right, I think it's time. Let's bring this home with the final verdict, the official scoring.
On a scale of 1 to 10, is Koh Chang worth the long, demanding journey to get there?
Okay, I'll go first. For me, that journey is a real drawback. It's a full day of travel, and that eats into your vacation time. And the roads on the island do present a genuine safety concern you need to be aware of.
Yep.
But the value for money is just off the charts. The quality of the food, the low cost of a really nice place to stay, and the sheer raw protected beauty of the place. They are huge, undeniable positives. So weighing all of that, I'm giving Koh Chang a very solid 8 out of 10.
An 8 is a very strong score. I think I'm going to go a little higher.
For me, the things you listed as drawbacks, the difficult journey, the lack of an airport, the scary roads, I honestly see them as features. They're not bugs.
They're the filter.
They're the filter. They're the mechanisms that are preserving this place. They screen who comes, and they protect the environment from overdevelopment. I love that it requires an adventurous spirit. The food is truly unforgettable. And I love that you can find total peace on one beach and a huge party just one hill over. It has that contrast. For me, Koh Chang is a 9 out of 10.
Wow. Okay, so that brings our combined official verdict to an 8.5 out of 10. Koh Chang is officially resoundingly worth it.
And that is our deep dive on Thailand's Emerald Island. We've navigated the sketchy roads, we've decoded the beach vibes, we've tasted the incredible food, all to help you figure out if this rugged, unpolished gem is the right fit for your travel style.
And it's so important to repeat that one observation from the source material. The lack of an airport is a feature, not a bug, because it keeps the masses away. The island self-regulates its tourism just by being inconvenient.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to chew on. As Southeast Asia develops at lightning speed, as more and more airports and highways are built, these kinds of truly unpolished destinations, places that deliberately make you work to get there, they're becoming an endangered species.
They really are.
So we have to ask, is that deliberate inconvenience, that willingness to trade your time for a more authentic experience, is that the true measure of a destination's worth? And is it ultimately the only thing that can guarantee its long-term preservation?
It's a huge question in an age where we expect everything instantly. Do you want the convenience or do you want the commitment?
Something to think about. Until our next deep dive, we're packing our bags and heading for the mountains. We'll be exploring the culture and the misty peaks of Chiang Mai.
Travel safe, everyone. Eat well.
Bye for now.